Okay, welcome to lesson 19, random RGB. If you didn't see lesson 18, you might want to look at that because you may need that information to understand this lesson. Okay, this is going to be called random RGB. So let me open this file up. Here's my HTML file. And if I click on background, I get a color. And every time I click on it, I get another color. It's a random color. And you can see the RGB values here. So you can see them changing. Okay, so we're going to build this, and I'm going to tell you what you might use this for, because I actually use something like this all the time. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to get rid of this. Here is our, let me get up there. Okay, so what I want you to do is copy this HTML. So we got some, oh, and here's some CSS right here. Copy this CSS and copy this HTML down here. Okay, so, and then we'll do the script later. So ignore this script right now. So go ahead and copy that HTML and the CSS, and we'll get started with writing some JavaScript for that. Okay, so you got that copied down. I've got another copy here, another version without any script. So we're going to go ahead and write some script. Don't worry about this comment. These are my comments. Don't worry about those. Okay, so we've got a div tag, we've got a button tag, we've got a p tag. First thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this button. So we're not going to use it variable because we're not going to need it, but we are going to grab the button. So we'll say document. I always spell document wrong. Document get element by ID. And the ID is background color button, or BG color button. BG color. And here it is. And then dot add event listener click. And then the name of our function is going to be change BG, which stands for background. That would be the name of the function we're going to build. And if you notice here, you know, typically I would declare a variable. I would say let document get element by ID background color, and I might call that variable background color button. And then later I would add the event listener to that, but I just did it all in one line. So we don't actually need a variable for the background color button. We can just add the event listener right onto this. So this is another way to do that. Okay, so next I want to grab the output, the paragraph here. I want to grab this RGB output paragraph. And in this case, I am going to use a variable. So let output equal document, I didn't spell it wrong that time. Get element by ID. And what is the ID? RGB output, RGB output, there it is. Okay, good. So I got those two things going. Now I need to write my function. Okay, now going back to this, you can see when I press the button called background, it's generating a random background color, and it's telling us what the RGB values of that random color is. Okay, so I'm going to write a function to do that. So I'm going to say function, what are we calling it? RGB, that's not what I'm calling it. I'm calling it change BG. And so I need colors, I need random colors. So I'm going to say let red equal, remember our random numbers, math random times 255. Why 255? Because RGB colors are values ranging from 0 to 255. Okay, so, but if red equals math random times 255, that's going to give me a floating point number between 0 and 255, which I do not want. I want an integer. So the way I get the integer is I truncate the number after the decimal point. In other words, I get rid of everything after the decimal point, and that'll give me an integer. The way I do that is with something called math floor, and then I put that random number inside that math floor. See that? So make sure math random times 255 is inside, see these parentheses, inside the math floor function. Or it's actually a method, the floor method. Okay, so that'll give me a red color. How do I know? Well, let's test it out. Not a bad idea to test out as you go along. Console log red. Save that. And actually need to load that. I don't know if I even saved this whole thing there. Oh, here it is. There she is. Okay, so I saved it without the .html, and that's why it gave me, let me open that again, watch this. See, it gave me all the code. That's because I didn't save it with .html. So let's do that. File, save as, .html. Okay, that's on the desktop. Oh, got a whole new file, so I can get rid of this old one. Open this, bring it up here, open it. There it is, let's get rid of this old one. Okay, so here it is. You can see the file name here, .html, version 2. Doesn't do anything because we haven't finished our function yet. Let's look at our console log. Developer, view developer, JavaScript console. Okay, I've got it. Oh, I spelled console log wrong. I spelled it console lore. All right. Well, let's change that. Where is it? It is down here, console log. Let's see this. Let's reload that. There's a number. There's another number. There's another number. Okay, so it's giving us an integer between 0 and 255. By the way, this is a really good way to use console log to test as you go along and make sure you're building things properly. Okay, so it looks like we are good to go. All right, so I have red. So I need green and blue. So it's exactly the same. So copy that and I'm going to paste it twice, and then all I'm going to do is change this second red to green and the third red to blue. Now I'm going to get 3 colors. I know they work because I already tested with console log, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so now what do I want to do? Well, I want to tell the background color to become this, to use these values, the red, green, and blue values. And the way I do that is I say document body, or is it, yeah, document body. I think I forgot something. I'm gonna change this in a second. I think I have to use, I'm referring to my old code that I wrote before, make sure. Yeah, style background. Right. Document body, style, background color equals, okay, so we have a red, a green, and a blue, and now we need to figure out how to use that. Well, in quotes, we have to tell JavaScript we're about to use a RGB color. So RGB in quotes, open parentheses. Now, close quotes there, space. Okay, so this gets, it starts to look confusing, but when you look at it long enough, it's not that confusing. I'm going to go ahead and type in the code and then I'll explain it. So RGB, open parentheses, end the quote, and then plus red, and then plus quote, comma, and then plus green, and then plus quote, comma, and then plus blue, and then plus the ending parentheses. Good, and I need a semicolon. Let me look at that, make sure. You know what, I'm going to get rid of these spaces just to make it shorter, more compressed. It'll turn out to be the same thing, but I just want it to be kind of more compressed. Be able to fit it in here a little better. Okay. So we can't just put red, green, and blue there inside a couple parentheses because they're variables, they're not text. And if we put red itself in quotes, then JavaScript would think, oh, that's text. It's not text, it's a variable, it's a number, it's a value. Okay, so analyze this, stare at this for a while until you figure it out. We're putting all the text in quotes, but we're leaving these values, red, green, and blue, outside of quotes. So that's why we have to use so many quotes. So if you study that long enough, it'll make sense. Okay. The next thing we want to do is our output. We want to be able to output these numbers in our HTML. Let me save this and show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back to the original. See right here, this is the paragraph tag that is outputting our red, green, blue, and that's what we want to do. So the name of that is output. So output inner text equals red, and then plus, the commas are text, so I'm going to say plus in quote comma, plus green, plus in quote comma, plus blue. Okay, let's see if that works. Save that. Go to our version 2, reload. It worked. Now one other thing, notice on our first version, let me reload that. First version, we have a space after the comma. So we have the 211, comma, space, 57, comma, space, although it doesn't look like much of a space. And in this version, we don't have spaces, so I'm going to create a space. So what I'm doing, red plus comma, space, quote, and the same here, comma, space, quote. Save that, reload it. There we go. It's a little easier to read that way. Okay, now I actually built something like this because I built a little program like this because I called it a color utility. Because a lot of times when I'm like building a website and I want to find background colors or I want to find colors for fonts and stuff, I want to just generate a random color because I think it's fun to kind of generate it randomly without a color wheel. And I see colors that I may not have thought about picking out. And I get the RGB values here, and then I can use them in my website. So it's kind of like having a little tool, a little utility. So build this for yourself. Use it to generate colors, and use some of these colors to put in the website you're building, or any other graphics where you use colors, RGB colors. Okay, so that's what our code looks like. It works fine. What I would do with this is have fun with it, play around with margins, play around with the background color of the display area, play around with padding sizes and margin left size, and this is the color of the font here. Play around with different colors for the font. So do that and have fun with it. And that's it. So I will see you next time. We'll be doing lesson 20. I don't know what that's going to be, but I bet it's going to be fun. So join me and enjoy building this project. See you later.